Today I'm unboxing, opening, and showing some impressions of the Derwent Drawing 24 set. They're incredibly expensive in Canada, and these were $75 for just 24 pencils, making them $3.12 a pencil. And this was the best price I've been able to find in Canada. I got my boyfriend to buy them for me for my birthday. They're my favorite colored pencils I've ever used. They're completely light fast. They're very soft. They have a more unique quality texture. They work good pretty much on every surface I use them on. They're full of light fast, blendable, wonderful natural colors. They come in only these 24 colors, however. The other biggest problem is the one I already mentioned. They're overpriced. They're incredibly expensive, and I just wish that they would be a more reasonable price per pencil and be easier to get. It makes it hard for me to enjoy using them because they're so expensive, and they're going to be very hard to replace once they do run out. However, I'm going to keep working on actually using my more expensive supplies because the purpose of them is to use them. I've been looking since 2007 when I bought as many individual pencils as I could get. I think they were $2 to $2.60 individually, even back then, which was very expensive. And that was for a store that was putting stuff on sale in 2007, and the prices have not gotten better. They've gotten worse. It's a problem. I don't understand why they're this expensive in Canada, and I wish that the price was more reasonable so that they would be more accessible for everyone. I do have to say, in spite of the cost, they are incredible, and I have to highly recommend them for everyone. I'm also going to compare the 2007 ones with the new ones that I got in 2023. The barrels of the new ones aren't as high quality as the old ones because a couple of them, they also have a slightly different look. A couple of them, the paint doesn't look very smooth, and like the writing is a bit off. It goes outside of the lines. It's not perfectly made. The cores, however, are just as good. And when I compare the old and the new, they match up pretty much identically. The feeling of them is pretty much identical to use between the ones I bought in 2007, which are probably even older than that, and the ones that I bought in 2023 or got purchased for me in 2023. And I have to say, despite the issue of the price, I do say that if you have the spare money, or if you have the ability to get someone to buy it for you as a gift because they're spending enough money, also if it's a lower price in your country, then these are very, very good pencils, especially if you're going to draw things with natural tones, if you're going to draw animals and nature and landscapes and things like that. And I find them good to use with my entire colored pencil collection. I personally like to use mixed media and to mix every different brand together, and I don't necessarily like to do stuff with just one brand or one type unless I'm doing an art challenge in particular. I think it's a good idea to actually get the best out of everything you have. I do have to say that the difficulty in getting them due to price and the fact that they have a limit of only 24 in the range are the biggest drawbacks. Otherwise, these are some of the very best colored pencils in the entire world. Hands down, no problem at all saying that. So if the cost isn't a problem for you, and the other thing is you're going to want more. So once you do get them and use them, you're going to want to be able to replace them. And you're going to wish that they had more than 24 colors in this set, and they don't. And they've had this set out for more than 20 years, I think more than 30 years, and they just don't add more into this range. So really don't expect them to add more into this range. Try not to be too disappointed by the limited color range or the high price. These are some of the most opaque, enjoyable, and fast to work with colored pencils. This invented pterosaur was done entirely with the Derwent Drawing pencils in only 10 minutes as a 10-minute art challenge, and I was able to show you that you can do a complete picture with just these, as well as how they work on toned paper. So if you want to use different colored or toned paper, these are some really good colored pencils for that. And as far as pencil crayons go, I find them to be very, very fast and enjoyable to use, and I find they get all these very natural tones that seem really true to nature. So if you want to design some creatures and animals that are very plausible, or draw real living or extinct animals, these pencils are particularly useful. And you should also know that bright colors are useful too, because a lot of animals do have bright colors. I just tried to do this very quickly, and as you can see, I'm using a couple erasers as well, and I think that Erasers work decently with these, but they're not the most erasable of colored pencils. The Faber-Castell Dust Free is always my go-to recommendation for erasing colored pencils, ever since I discovered how good it is. And now I'm switching over to my Talon's Art Creation sketchbook, the larger size one I have, which is still not very big, and I'm working on an artwork in this, which is done entirely with these pencils. I decided to do an eagle, and when I first start working in here, I had it in the wrong position, so I had to erase that, which is also a good test of erasing these pencils on this paper, which worked rather well. I think this is a really good paper. I have to say the Talon's Art Creation sketchbook is one of my favorite papers to work on, and I have to highly recommend it. And here I'm going over everything. Now, in this case, I'm not inventing a bird. This is based on a real reference. It's a reference I found on, it was either Pixabay or Pexels, but it was a public domain image website. And I found an eagle, and that's the reference I'm using here. And I'm making sure to switch back and forth between the pencils. Now, I'm also trying to work as quickly as possible on this, because I need to try to use as little space on my iPad, because there's only so much space. But also, the longer the video, the longer and more complicated the video, and the harder it is to upload. So I'm always trying to do things fast when I'm doing stuff for videos like this. However, this is also a really good test of just how fast you can work with these colored pencils, which I do find faster and easier to work with than the average colored pencil. Now, I think that it's very interesting because the colored pencils here do have such a limited color palette, but if you're trying to get something accurate to the colors of a reference, make sure that there aren't any colors in that reference that go off of this color palette. And that's part of why I selected this eagle reference, because I didn't see any colors in it that didn't fit the Derwent Drawing 24 color set. Even the brightest yellow was definitely just the yellow ochre of this set. And as you can see, I'm also holding it more on the side to fill in larger areas with the length of the lead, especially for the different shades of gray. I also used the Solway blue for some of the highlights and blending on the far wing. In the reference photo, it looked more blue. There was an atmospheric perspective, but I also think there was reflected light from the blue of the sky, so the feathers on the far wing had a highlight that looked more blue. And I think that part of that allowed the near wing to look darker and more vibrant and the far wing to look farther away, which made it a good reference. Something else I love to do is to combine the black and the chocolate to make really dark warm blacks or really dark browns, and I think that these two are two of the best very dark brown and black colored pencils there are, and I think combining them is great. I also have to recommend, if you're just going to buy some of these colors individually, I really can't stress that the black, white, and the chocolate are incredibly useful. I think every single one of these is incredibly useful. But the black, the white, and the chocolate are, I would say, my three favorite if I was just trying to add some to my collection and you have the option to get open stock but don't have enough funds to get the entire set. The other colors in the set are all really great, but I have to say, for adding to your collection, Ruby Earth, the dark reddish purple, and Mars Violet, a more pale muted purple, are particularly useful when added to colored pencil collections. Terracotta, Venetian Red, Sanguine, and Mars Orange, as well as Sepia Red, which is a dark reddish brown, are really good reddish-orange earthy tones. The Smoke Blue and Ink Blue are really good earthy blues, and the Olive Earth, Green Shadow, and Pale Cedar, as well as Crag Green, are all really good earthy greens. All the colors are great in the set, but those are even more unique versus other colored pencils. The brown ochre also, I think, is fantastic, and I can't at all disparage any of the remaining colors. The yellow tones, light sienna, yellow ochre, and wheat, which is an off yellowish white, also fantastic. My least favorite ones are labeled as warm gray and cool gray. I find them very similar and they're more neutral or warm, even the cool gray. I would say the Solway blue is more of a real cool gray than a true blue tone in this set. But altogether, they're all useful, and they're still really useful to have those grays. So if you can get a hold of any of these at any kind of reasonable price, I have to highly recommend them. And I have to say, they are amongst my favorite colored pencils of all, and most enjoyable to use, light fast, and fast to work with. And here's a final look at the artwork. Once again, that's all for this video. If you like my videos, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to all notifications so you will know when a new video comes up. I aim for new videos every Wednesday, but sometimes life happens and things are delayed. I hope that you enjoyed this video and will see you with another one very soon.